Welcome to the Music Stock Market Teacher Instructional Video Guide. Today we're going to go through a complete step-by-step guide so that you can implement the Music Stock Market program in your classroom. As always, there are things that we miss, or if you can't find something or having any other trouble, you can go ahead and we can always be reached by email at education@musicstockmarket.com. As well, you can access the resources on the classroom.musicstockmarket.com site. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to go to step 1, which is registration as a teacher in the system. Alright, so when you first come to the classroom.musicstockmarket.com homepage, you'll find towards the bottom of the page two links. One for student registration and the other that says teacher registration. We'll go over how your students will register in a bit, but for right now, we want to click on the teacher registration link. And when we do so, it takes us to an activation page where we're prompted to enter a key. When you first signed up for the program, you were either given this key or it was sent to your email. It looks like a combination of about 30 to 40 different letters and numbers. If you don't have one, you can go ahead and email us and we'll arrange to get one to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this key and we're going to enter it in our activation page, and then we're going to click on the check button. Now if we're successful and it's a valid key, a box will appear so that we can enter all of our complete registration information. It's standard stuff, your first and last name, an email address. You'll then enter a username and a password. This username and password we will use to access the teacher portal from now on. You should take a minute and write down this information and keep it in a safe place where you can find it. Once we've entered the rest of the information, we're going to go ahead and click on the submit button, and if everything was filled out, it should be successful and we should see a thank you box. Alright, so once we're registered, we can now log into our teacher portal at any time we like. So what we'll do is, again, from the classroom homepage, we'll look towards the top of the page. You'll see a link called Login. When we click on this link, it will then take us to a login page. And here we'll go ahead and enter our username and our password. Please be aware it is case sensitive, so be careful of that. Also, if we ever forget our password, we can click on the forgot password link and it can retrieve it from the system for us. So when we're ready, we're going to just click on submit, and if the username and password was valid and entered correctly, we should then see the teacher portal home screen in front of us. So the first and really largest step in administering the musicstockmarket.com classroom program is to create and set up the class rosters and then fill them with our students. So what we're going to do is, from the teacher portal homepage, we're going to click on the box that says roster. This will then take us to a roster widget with two sets of categories. You're going to see at the top school and then underneath it class. Now, before we can create classes, we need to have a school set up. During the registration process, you were prompted to enter your school, but if it's not here, you can just go ahead and add it now. By clicking on the add school link, it should make a drop down box section appear where you can then add in the school name, the city, and the state. When you're ready, you can just click submit and your school should be added in. Now that we have a school, we can then begin to add our classes. In the bottom section now, we click on the add class link, and then a drop down section will appear. We need to first associate our class with the school. Once we do so, we can then enter the period number, the class description, and then we'll click submit. Now keep in mind we can add as many classes as we like, and we can do so at any time. So this is always open and we can come back and add another class a week from now or whenever. So once we have a class created, we are now ready to fill it in and populate it with our students. So from our class list, we then click on the student roster link for the class that we want to add our students into. It's the far right option of all those different options in blue that are listed next to each class. And so when we click on this, a box should appear. Now inside this box, we'll see two options in blue for adding students. We'll do this either individually or in bulk. Now in both cases, the only information that we need to enter for our students is their first and last name. That's it. This is also how they're going to appear and be listed to us in our gradebook. So as you will see happens when we load a student into our class, entering their first and last name, the system will create a temporary login credential for them. And it is this information that we will then need to provide to each student so that they can access the music stock market system. So let's go ahead here quickly and add in multiple students using the bulk feature. And what we do is we enter the first name, space, then the last name of the student, separated by a comma. So what we do is first name, space, last name, comma, first name, space, last name, comma, for as many students as we want. Now remember, please be aware not to place a space in between the comma. The only space is between the first and last name. So when we're through entering our students' names with no spaces before or after the commas, we then click the submit button, and we should find that all of our students have been added to the system and temporary credentials have been created for them. Now our final step in this process is to provide these credentials to our students. So going back to the bottom of this student roster box is a link that's called Print Student Invites. And so by clicking on this link, we create a sheet that has all of these student credentials that we can then print out on a sheet of paper and neatly cut and distribute to each of our students. As our students register with the site, they disappear from the temporary list and begin to appear on the permanently registered list. Student registration. From the classroom.musicstockmarket.com homepage, we're going to click on the student registration link, which is located towards the bottom of the page. This will then take us to the student registration page, where we are prompted to enter a username and password. This information was provided by teachers to the students. After we enter this information, we click Login, and if the credentials are valid, a section appears asking us for our registration information. Enter our first and last name, an email address, and then your desired username and password. You will then use this username and password from now on to access the musicstockmarket.com classroom portal and the musicstockmarket.com trading site simulation. Take a moment to write down your new username and password in a safe place. Once you have entered all the information, click on the Submit button and you are ready to go. In the lesson plan section, teachers can gain access to different resources for use in their classrooms, including a chapter-by-chapter syllabus, vocabulary, bell ringers, and other supplemental materials. In the lecture section, teachers can preview the curriculum that their students will be completing. We can browse and click on the pages of each individual chapter. We can also preview the quiz exercise questions that the students will be taking. Just select an exercise and drill down into each question. Incorrect answers are shown in red and the correct answer is shown in green. As students complete quizzes, teachers will monitor their students' progress using the gradebook section. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the gradebook and it opens up the widget with a list of our classes. Then what we'll do is we'll select an individual class that we want to preview and the complete list of the roster appears. The gradebook provides us with information about each student's overall GPA and their current progress with the curriculum. We see grades are provided in columns by unit. We can then drill down from the unit into individual chapters by clicking on the link called chapter, and it will then show us the more detailed results. We can even click deeper to view the results of students' individual quizzes and review which answers and responses they answered correct, which are shown in green, and incorrect, which are shown in red. There's even a feature to re-enable a quiz in order for a student to attempt it again.